If you are someone who, with every single milestone that you have met in your life, have also simultaneously felt this feeling of I'm not enough or what's next, in this video, I'm going to share with you the three things that are happening in your nervous system and in your body, as well as your mindset, that you can actually take control of this year so that the next success and the next milestones that you hit, you actually get to feel fulfillment around and the joy that you associate with accomplishing those things in the first place. It is totally normal to have a feeling of what's next or even a little bit of a contraction after you have a massive success. There are a couple different theories or phenomenons associated with this specific emotion and feeling, and it has been coined throughout the years for athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, and highly successful people. The first is the arrival fallacy, and the arrival fallacy is essentially that when I get X, then I will feel Y. And what's happening here is that we're actually always moving the finish line. And so every time we accomplish something, rather than giving ourselves the feelings that we associated with that specific success or accomplishment, we just move the finish line again, and then the next bigger milestone ends up being the thing that we will then feel the associated emotion with. But the problem with that is that you're always moving the finish line, and all of these things that a younger you once dreamt of experiencing now are just kind of shrugged off because there's a dangling carrot in front of you. The second phenomenon that happens when we reach milestones is what's called the finish line blues. The finish line blues is essentially that come down feeling that happens after a huge project has been completed or you've passed a specific finish line. And what's actually happening with the finish line blues is this big expansion of our nervous system and then a contraction immediately after. Because the nervous system isn't actually meant to hold a larger state and like be in this stretched capacity. It's almost like a rubber band, right? Like you're not meant to hold a rubber band out like this, and it's not going to hold its posture when you actually release. That's essentially what's happening with your nervous system. There's this elasticity that happens at the end of a finish line. And so it feels like depression. It can feel like a sadness. It can feel like a heaviness. But in reality, it's actually just your nervous system trying to find a baseline between the newer, bigger state that you were required to tap into in order to create the outcome or the milestone, and your older state of being that is kind of like the programmed you. Think about it this way. Anytime that you've ever accomplished anything big and meaningful, you've been required to change how you act, what you believe, how you think, and typically you've had to hold that posture for a period of time. Now, on top of that, when you actually accomplish the success and the milestone, you're going to get a huge serotonin and dopamine hit, which is going to flood your brain with feel-good chemicals. That spike is going to create a decrease the next day. So there's all of these things that are actually happening in your brain and body that are creating the heaviness or the sense of even depression that can come after a big moment. But let's actually dive into the three different things that are going on so that when you are continuing to accomplish all of the amazing things that you have set out for yourself this year, you're also reprogramming the way that you're holding your success. Because the worst thing in the world is being a successful, unhappy person. And I want all of you to feel so fulfilled by all of the things that you're working so hard to create. Now, if you're someone that has noticed whenever you have made a huge accomplishment within your career, your relationships, your home, but it still doesn't feel like it's enough, and maybe you even feel like the other shoe is going to drop and you're kind of bracing for impact, this is a very clear sign that your nervous system and your subconscious is still operating in the past. And if this is something that happens to you every single time something good happens in your life, it's not your fault. It's likely a condition of your programming and of your childhood or traumatic events that may have happened for you throughout your younger years. When I was 16 years old, my mom, my sister, and I were evicted from our house. Her car was repossessed. We were on food stamps, and it was a really financially traumatic time in my life. And I remember throughout that period of time, anytime that anything good would happen, my mom would always say, don't jinx it, or yes, something good's happening now, but that must mean that something bad is going to happen after this. I didn't realize, but she was literally programming me to think that there would be a rug pull anytime that anything good happened. My mom didn't realize that as well either, because we're all doing the best that we can and we don't fully understand how much weight our words have. And I hope that me creating this content for you helps you to raise your children mindfully and to know how much weight your words have. But these years of financially feeling like we were never truly stable carried with me well into my early 20s, my mid 20s, and my late 20s, even when my business was doing really well. My business has made over $3 million over the last 5 years, and I will tell you, there are still times where I brace for impact and notice that old pattern coming up of feeling like things are too good to be true. And if this is you during these seasons, the only thing that actually helps me to be able to create that level of safety that is ultimately what your nervous system and your subconscious is asking for, because again, it's coming from a time when you did not feel safe and it's just your body trying to protect you. The only thing that can really help you, because affirmations won't work, mindset tricks won't work, honestly, even sometimes just like looking at the reality of your situation doesn't even help. What really works is somatic practices. And one of my favorite somatic practices is breath work, because breath work not only is a tool to help us rewire our nervous system, but it also helps us to expand our capacity to hold more. There are so many different breathwork practices, and depending on the season that you're in, you might use a more calming breathwork practice that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and in doing so, just simply tells your body that you are safe where you are. So for example, if you're noticing that you feel a little bit of a contraction in your body, you're starting to feel like it's not enough, you feel a little bit of scarcity coming up, this is the perfect moment to bring in a parasympathetic activating breathwork practice, something as simple as box breath or equal ratio breathing, where you're inhaling for a count of 4, holding at the top for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and then holding at the bottom for a count of 4. So again, it's just making a box with your breath, holding at the top, holding at the bottom, and a 4 count is perfect. Even 5 minutes of that practice can help establish a sense of safety in your body and soften any of those feelings of anxiousness or worry that might be coming up for you unnecessarily. The other way that I love to use breathwork is by using sympathetic or arousing breathwork practices. Now, this isn't a practice that you want to use when you're feeling a lot of anxiousness or you're already in a fight or flight response, but this practice is really incredible for teaching your body how to hold extra bigger sensation. Going back to this idea of the finish line blues, oftentimes the reason why we drop in our energy or drop in our emotional state is because we haven't fully trained our nervous system to hold the bigness of the specific milestone. So using a sympathetic breathwork practice is the best way for us to train our body to basically create a new normal where we are able to hold more and hold bigger and hold greater sensations in the body, so that we don't feel like we have this high of like, yes, I hit the milestone, I'm amazing, this is incredible. But then the low of like, oh my God, what's next? Will I be able to do this again? That's ultimately what we want to create, right? We want to exit the roller coaster of feeling whipped around by our emotions and have a really neutral baseline. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to experience happiness or experience sadness. It's that we just get better at bouncing back from it, and we get better at holding the bigger moments and also better at holding the harder moments. So even if you're just spending 5 minutes a day using breathwork as a tool to expand your capacity or create safety in the body, what you're going to be doing day by day is reprogramming your nervous system to feel safe around the reality and the environment that you've created. If there's any part of you that doesn't trust your current reality because of your past or because of what was programmed into you as a child or as a teen, then you're never actually going to allow yourself to feel the fulfillment and the happiness of everything that you've worked so hard to create. Now, the next thing that I'm going to share with you, I feel like is a little bit confrontational, but I think you'll agree once you hear me out. The second reason why you probably feel like it's never enough, whether it's the amount of money in the bank or the clothes that you have or your health, whatever it might be, is because you are literally getting indoctrinated every single time you log online to other people's belief systems, other people's values, other people's work ethic, other people's desires. And while yes, of course, it can be incredibly inspiring, I hope I'm doing that to you right now, it can also negatively impact us when it moves from inspiring into influential in a negative way, right? We don't always want to be influenced, because sometimes the influence that is presented in front of us actually moves us off of our path and onto a path that was never actually meant for us. And that's typically when we're going to start to feel anxiety, feel worry, feel like we're not doing good enough. And so one of the things that I have my clients do, and I literally just told a client to do this yesterday, when you log online, if there is anybody that is making you feel less than, making you feel like you need to be more, having this story of I should be here or I should do this pop up in your head and actually create that feeling of scarcity or anxiety or sadness or not enoughness in your body, put that person on mute. I told my client this, and I love my client to death. I'm like, even if that person is me, put that person on mute, because your mental health and your peace is of the utmost importance. And most of the time when we log online, we don't even know that we're being conditioned and programmed to think like other people or to desire like other people. I had this big awakening a couple years ago when I just realized, there are some people who want to build these crazy businesses and have teams of 30 plus people and have like all of this responsibility and all of this visibility and millions of followers. And I'm like, I just don't want that. I want to serve. I want to be impactful. I do want to be visible. I do want to make a lot of money because I like nice things, but I actually want peace more than I want power. So I started looking at all of the accounts that I was following, and I was like, there's a lot of people here who are actually making me feel like shit. And I'm okay to mute them, or I'm okay to unfollow them either temporarily or permanently for the sake of me being so crystal clear on my thoughts, my beliefs, my values, and what I actually want from my life. A lot of times the reason why we don't feel like we're enough is that we are literally getting brainwashed by people to feel that way. This is especially important if you're focusing on bringing somatic practices in, rewiring your nervous system and your subconscious, all of the things that we talked about earlier in this video. Because at the end of the day, yes, you can still rewire your brain and repattern the old programs when you've got external stimulation that is making you feel some type of way, but it's just so much harder to do it. It's so much harder to hold the new state of being when you're constantly having to like karate chop and combat all of these outside voices from reality TV, Instagram, social media, YouTube, and all of the places where good marketing exists and we just don't even know that it's marketing. The third piece, which is your relationship to time. Now, hear me out with this. Your relationship to time may be based upon what you see other people doing and what you've been indoctrinated to believe is the right amount of time. Think about it this way. When we think about having kids, so much of the timelines around having kids comes from society and not even our own. I remember when I was a teenager, I was like, oh, I'm going to have a kid at 27 because that's when my mom had me. And as I got closer to 27, I literally was like, there's no fucking way. Absolutely not. And I am 32 or 33 now. I don't even know how old I am. That's embarrassing. I am now just ready to have kids 6 years later than what I thought. But the reason I thought that way is because it was just something that was shown to me rather than something I was choosing for myself. So the last piece that is probably making you feel so much more anxious and not enough, even though you've created so much success, so much value, so much opportunity for yourself in your life, is just simply your relationship to time. Time is either your best friend or your greatest enemy, and you're determining that by either choosing to use time to define a unsustainable pace or a specific speed that actually creates more anxiety, or you're using time to create more peace in your life by choosing something that feels more sustainable, not only that aligns with the goals that you have and the desires you have for your life, but also for your mental and emotional health, which dare I say, is just as important as the success or the milestone itself. Like, I will not sacrifice my mental and emotional health just for the sake of a goal, because I already know from having made money, having bought my house, having gotten married, that all of these things that we usually have these invisible timelines and rules around don't actually give us the feeling that we associate with it. Again, kind of circling back to the arrival fallacy. And my mental health and my emotional health is what I experience on a day-to-day basis. I remember hearing somewhere that the milestones and the big moments only take up like 0.5 or even less % of our life overall. And we're so destination oriented, even though the journey is the thing that we are in every single day. So your relationship to time is really the thing that is either making you feel amazing, excited, peaceful, and like grounded in your energy, or it's the thing that's driving you freaking crazy and feels like this 1,000-pound weight on your chest because there's this timeline that's just getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I don't think enough people actually stop to look at their relationship with time. And this is a huge problem because, yes, we do only have one life, but the quality of your life is just as important as the quantity of the milestones or the successes that you stack up over time. And so many people are underestimating what they can even achieve in a 10-year period. I mean, look at Bad Bunny. 10 years ago, he was packing groceries at a grocery store in Puerto Rico. Now he's literally playing for the Super Bowl, winning all these Grammys, and is a global icon. While I might not be at the Bad Bunny level, I've ran my business for the last 10 years, and it is crazy to me how much my life has changed and how much I've been able to create over this 10-year period. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten around time is like, however long you think it's going to take, just double it. That has brought me so much peace because I am someone that just wants things like yesterday. And I also have really big goals that don't take a week or a month or even a year sometimes. If you do have big goals, like continue to have your big goals, get after it. But don't make whether you hit the goal or not meaning of who you are and what you're capable of. Because at the end of the day, you're probably creating some crazy invisible timeline. And if it doesn't happen, then you're saying this is never going to happen. But we've got so much freaking proof of all of the people in the world. Like literally every single successful person that has a big goal or has a project hasn't always accomplished that exact goal exactly as they thought they would on the first try. Do they give up? No, they refine, they learn, they get back up, and then they go and try again. Goals are here to inspire us, motivate us, and develop us. They are not here to be a measuring stick of how valuable we are or what we're capable of creating. So just remember, you are meant to have it all. You are capable of creating it all. And everything that you have already been able to build in your life is such a testament of who you are and what you are capable of creating in the future. But you deserve to feel happiness and fulfillment now and not keep it at a finish line that is invisible sometime in the future. So as a gift, I put my Next Level You 5-day mini course in the description below. There's breathwork practices, mindset practices, some journaling prompts, and it's such an incredible mini course if you are looking to reprogram your subconscious to not only celebrate how far you've already come, but to create more capacity for all of the amazing things that you'll accomplish this year. Make sure if you haven't already to watch this video where I talk about exactly how to rebrand yourself in 2026.